Okay, thanks, Mary. Anyway, thank you all for coming today. And basically, what we're going to do is, most of today, we're going to be talking about leads when you're on defense. And part of the reason we're talking about that is the ACBL has a program that checks everything you do when you play online. And if you do things that are bizarre and they work, it keeps track of them, and if it works enough, they're going to think you're a cheater. And it's kind of a good system, except for one big flaw that I think they have, and I've discussed it with them, and they don't want to hear from me, and I don't want to hear from them, so we're kind of even. But to me, if something works, it means you made this bizarre lead, and it worked out for you. You got tricks you're not entitled to, you got a good result. For them, it works if your partner happens to have a fitting thing just in that suit. And they say, oh, even though you ended up being suicidal for you, not only do you get a bad result, they mark you down as a cheater both. To me, that's not right. But anyway, I'm going to talk about these leads, so it'll make you a better player when you know them. And it'll stop you from being accused of cheating when you're not. Okay, so we're going to start with these things I have on the board, and then I'm going to bring up some hands where people have been accused of cheating when they really shouldn't have. Good leads, and again, usually, anything with bridge is almost always usually. If you could figure something out, the fact that I said it doesn't usually work, if you know it is going to work on this hand, do it, right? Think about it. Like when I'm tired, when I'm playing, what I do is, yeah, I know all this stuff, right? So I do just what the book says you're supposed to, and I don't think about it. And usually that works out for me, but not always. There are times when you need to think about it, and you can figure out, you know, I shouldn't be doing that on this hand, because on this slate of cards, it ain't working. So, a good opening lead is if you have the ace-king of a suit, and this is against a suit contract, you lead the ace. Not necessarily no trump. No trump, you need extra length or ace, king, jack at least to lead it. But against a suit contract, you usually lead the ace. And if your partner is a good player, they should know if you're leading the ace, you got the king. And why that's good, you know, there's a seat right here next to Cheryl. Why it's good, when your partner knows you have the king, if they now know how to get back to your hand, right? When you played the ace, you go in their mind, you've got the king. If they need to put you on lead later on, they're going to lead to your king. Of course, there's always exceptions to that, right? Like if you have like 7 of them and you lead out the ace, they're probably not getting back to you with the king, right? They're probably going to get roughed the second time. So there are things you need to, but most of the time the ace is the way to go. Also, if you have ace-king doubleton, if I lead the king and it holds, you could bet all I have is the ace left. So if you have the queen, don't be leading it back. So that's with the ace-king double. Also, leading the ace is only the proper lead on the opening lead. Later on in the deal, say you're not on opening lead to begin with and your partner leads something, right? Now you still got the ace-king. Don't lead the ace now, lead the king. When it's not the opening lead, you lead the king. hopefully your partner will figure out when the king won that the player doesn't have the ace or they would have taken it. And they could see that the ace is an on-dummy, and they could see that they don't have the ace, most people anyway. And so basically, that's a good lead, and if you don't lead it, that's part of the negative inference in bridge. If you don't do the right thing, your partner's never going to play you for that anymore. All right, other good leads. Top of a sequence, that's called a natural lead. And when it's against a suit contract, you only need 2 of them. Like king, queen, that's enough, lead the king. It's always good if you have a third one, but it's enough just to have the king, queen. And definitely don't underlead it. Lead the king. If you're playing no trump, then you do need 3 of them. And it's nice to have king, queen, jack, or queen, jack, 10, but it's okay if it's just king, queen, 10. It's a gap between the second and third one, not king, jack, 10, king, queen, 10.
Can you leave the queen? You leave the queen?
No, you still leave the king here,
Oh, okay.
because you have 3 of them. But I'm
Yeah.
saying, this is okay that you don't have the jack, you have the 10 instead. It's almost as good. It's not as good, but it's almost as good that you have the 10. Lead the king. But if you do have, but it has to be between the second and third one. Like king, jack, 10, that's probably not something you want to lead unless your partner bid it, right? If your partner bid it, you should play your partner for having the ace or the queen, or get a new partner, one of those. Another standard lead. Lead your partner's suit. And it's especially important if your partner overcalled. Like if your partner just opened a diamond, what does that mean?
At 4 diamonds, you don't.
Yeah, if you're lucky they have 4 diamonds,
Oh,
right?
they should.
Yeah, well, it could be 4, 4, 3, 2, right?
Well, yeah.
But usually they'll have 4, like you said. Usually they'll have 4, but they don't have to be good ones, right?
Not-
If I have 4 diamonds to the 8, I'm going to be opening that a lot of the time. I'm really not that anxious for you to lead to my 8. But if I overcalled it, if I overcall a suit, that means it's a good suit, right?
Yeah.
And part of an overcall is I'm telling you, lead it. Does that mean always? Of course not. Like, hey, if you got the ace, king, queen or something, and I'm telling you to lead it, you still have the ace, king, queen, right? You don't care what I'm saying. But if you care what I have, and I overcall, lead my suit. What you can never do, not if you want to play a second time with me, is if I overcall, and then you lead something else, and when the hand's over, tell me, well, I thought I'd play you for having a card in this other suit. I just told you what suit I had. Don't play me for a card in another suit, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, in terms of EDGAR, you know, the cheating program, it looks for stuff like that. If you don't do it, the flag comes up, and if it should work, according to their rules, you can have a check mark next to your name. You get enough of those check marks,
Card on the carpet, yeah.
yeah, you won't like it. Anyway, so when partner overcalls, unless you have a really good reason not to, delete it. If partner bid it, it's probably a good lead, but it's not as necessary anymore. Like opening a hand and overcalling a suit are 2 different things. And this was always my long-term partner, who's the best defensive player I ever saw. This was her favorite lead. If you have a singleton against a suit contract, you lead it. And why are you doing that? You want a rough, right? But there are exceptions to that. That's under the usually thing. basically, you better have enough trumps that you're gonna get a ruff. Like, if you just lead your singleton, especially if you don't have any trumps, guess what, you're not ruffing, right, if you don't have any trump. So there's no need to lead your singleton when you have no trumps. The other thing is, if you're real short in trump, it makes it less likely you're gonna get your ruff, because the player is gonna get in, and if you only have one trump, it's gonna be gone. So you need some length in trump for it to be worthwhile.
So you have a singleton, you're leading it, and
You're looking for a ruff.
you're good for a rush. Yeah.
And it's basically, it's usually a good lead.
Okay.
And of course, if the player bid the suit, yeah.
What about a singleton ace?
That's always tricky when you have a singleton ace in anything. My feeling is I'd want to keep that card in my hand longer so I can control the suit.
And catch a king.
Well, maybe because they don't know your ace is singleton, you might be able to catch a king. So typically I will not play singleton aces, but there are exceptions. Like if my partner bid the suit, then I'd play the singleton ace. I sure don't want him playing his king to my ace, right? Yeah,
What if you have the singleton and some trumps and you have a sequence? Steal the sequence first?
basically, if I'm playing against a suit contract, I'm leading the singleton. I'm trying to get that ruff, and I'm planning on, after I got my ruff, then I'll lead my sequence. But that's a good question. You should think ahead your whole plan, what you're gonna be doing here, right? I wanna get my ruff, and then once I get in, I'm gonna be playing my sequence. And when you're playing against a no trump contract, the standard lead is fourth best, assuming your partner hasn't bid, right? If your partner overcalled, lead their suit, but if they haven't, fourth best is the standard. But it's not when you have a sequence. Like a lot of beginning players, they'll have a sequence, but it's embedded in their brain, fourth best, fourth best. So they'll have king, queen, jack, three. They'll lead to three. That's always a bad lead. If you ever do that, don't admit it. Yeah.
I hate to give those people that are a lot smarter than me that advantage of then being able to count and tell how many trumps or how many in that suit that I have. And I can remember when I first started at BCOH and going to play in the big room. Oh Lordy, they've been playing for years and had a lot of points. We said, we can't even compete. And
Well,
so that was one of the biggest reasons I would choose to use a sequence or some of those other touching honors over fourth best.
yeah, well, if you have a sequence, you should do it, the
Yeah.
3-card sequence. But like Elite, they always say, never lie to your partner. And if you don't lead fourth best, your partner's not gonna trust you, and
Even if you had, okay, so example, this card, convention card.
Mhm.
And it shows down here, for example, leads versus suits, leads versus no trumps, and then the fourth best is, I guess I took it that you could choose any one of those and it would be a good bid. Am I interpreting that
no,
wrong?
you don't get to choose any one of them.
Oh, you don't?
No, if you have a sequence, you lead the sequence. There's no choice
Okay,
against no trump. If you have king, queen, 10, you lead the king. So if you don't have a sequence, you lead fourth best.
okay. Well, that's, okay,
Yeah, but
all
it's,
right.
yeah, there's no choices in this game unless you figured it out. Like, sometimes you could figure something out in the hand where if I do this, it'll work because I need to get my partner in.
Okay, I thought it was a choice between that, so thank you for straightening me
Okay.
out on that, Jeff.
Did you just say when you have king, queen, 10, that you lead the 10?
King.
Okay, I thought so, okay, I'm
King.
sorry, I just misheard you.
Okay, so those are good leads. one thing that I didn't have room for on the board, but I'm gonna tell you, it depends whether you're playing imps or match points, what you lead. Match points is what you play in there. You and your partner play, and that's it. It's just the two of you. And you just compete with other pairs. Imps is when there's four of you, and you play as a team. And they're way different games. And like at match points, you just want to do better than the people you're competing with. You don't have to do a lot better than. 10 points is good as 10 points better is as good as 1,000 points better. It's kind of a screwball thing, but that's how it works. You just want to do better. A little bit better is just as good as a lot better. You don't get anything extra for doing a lot better. Imps is completely different. Imps is, it doesn't help you to do a little bit better because you get the same score if you get 10 points more. If you got 620 instead of 600, it's basically the same. As opposed to match points, that extra 20 is big stuff. At imps, it's not. But at imps, it's what they call real bridge, because you want to set contracts, and when you're declared, you want to make them. And so part of your thinking when you're on lead is if you're playing at match points, don't give away any tricks. Don't make a lead that's going to give the player an extra trick. Because if you let them make that extra trick that nobody else is making, you're getting a bad score, right? If they got 420 or 450 instead of 420, you just got a bad score. You gave them that extra tip. That's poison at match points. At imps, you got to think, is there any way that I could set this contract? And if it risks giving him an over trick, let him have it. Giving him an over trick at imps is not important if it gives you a chance at beating the contract, if you want to beat that contract. So that's the thinking you should be playing when you're thinking imps. And if you go to the tournaments or the Swiss game they have here, it's always imp scoring. Play to set the contract. Don't worry if you give them an over trick. When you're playing match points, worry because the over trick just got you a bottom. Okay, let's talk about poor leads.
Jeff, bottom of top something, top of nothing, you left that off.
Oh, yeah. That's why I always need somebody checking me whenever I do anything.
Oh, yeah, Boston.
Boston is a common acronym, and it's used against a suit contract. If you lead low card, bottom of something, top of nothing. If I lead a low card, it's the bottom of something, I'm promising an honor. If I lead a high card, I'm telling you I don't have an honor. Now, not everybody does that on the opening lead. Most people do, but not everybody. But almost everybody does it on all the other leads. So that's, so if you see me leading the 9 or the 8, it's highly unlikely that I have a high card. If I'm leading the 3, I had better have a high card. Okay, poor leads. And again, it's usually under leading an ace in a suit contract is usually bad. And the reason why is famous saying, aces are meant to catch kings. If you lead an ace, you're just catching low cards. And if dummy has the queen and declare has the king, you just gave him a trick he's not entitled to. So under leading an ace in a suit contract is bad, or leading it out is bad too. Like if you underlead the ace and king's on the board, the queen is with declare, you led the ace, they let it come around to the queen, they'll make the queen, and now the king's behind your ace. So you don't underlead an ace and you don't lead it out. And you don't underlead in honor unless partner bid it. Although there are times you don't have a choice, right? Your whole hand is underleading in honor. So you just have to make the least bad bid, right? You don't always have good choices, so you gotta go with what you can go with. But you prefer not to underlead in honor unless partner bid it. By the way, if you have an honor and partner suit, unless it's a doubleton, don't lead the honor, lead small, right? Let your partner know you have an honor, don't lead out the honor. Lots of people do that, right? They think it'll disappear if they don't play it soon enough. It won't disappear. You'll keep it until you play it eventually anyway. Okay. And I'm gonna, so the last general thoughts I have were lifted right from this month's bulletin. And I write up the bulletin notes, you know, every month. And if people give me their email, I'll send them to you. But they're on the unit website. If you go under the unit website, under, you know, learning, education, something like that, you'll see.
Or you just search and,
But it'll show you right on the unit website. Everything I've written up for like the last 10 years is up there. So in this article, I'm not going to do the whole one, but I'm going to talk about the three that people get wrong all the time. And this was her word, leading the idiot doubleton. That's what she called it. I never heard it called that before, but I always thought it. Basically, if you lead a doubleton and you have two low ones and a suit not bid by partner, you really think partner wants it led? And you really think you're going to get a ruff? You're probably going to be finessing partner, and your trumps are going to be gone before you ever get the ruff.
What does that mean, finessing partner?
Basically, you don't have anything in the suit, right? That means if your side has any high cards in that suit, partner has it, and you're running it through your partner's high cards on the opening lead. So you're finessing your partner, right? Your partner is third hand, and you already played, dummy played, and now you just stuck it to your partner.
Okay.
So anyway, if partner bid the suit, sure, lead it. But if they didn't, don't expect partner to have something they never bid. And that's what this Lindbergh calls the idiot doubleton. You just probably, like maybe your partner would have got finessed out of it anyway, but now there's no maybe, you just did it for him. And here's a common one where people get in their minds that I'd like to get a trump trick, which is usually right. We just talked about it on the other side. When don't you want to get a trump trick? Don't you want a ruff? Well, think about when you're declaring. What are you hoping for when you're declaring something in a trump contract? What's your wish?
An even split.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want the trumps to split even because the hand's going to play much easier if the trumps split. If there's 4 of them out, you'd like them to go 2-2. If there's 5 of them out, you'd like them to go 3-2, right? It's going to be much easier for you to play the hand. So, on defense, if you have 4 trump or more, and you play for a ruff, which a lot of people do, what are you doing? You're helping declare. Before it wasn't an even split, but now you ruffed with one of your 4 trump. Now it's an even split. You just turned a bad break into a good break for declare. So don't do that. When you have 4+ trump, what you want to do is stop declare from ruffing. A lot of times there are 2 types of leads when you have 4+ trump that makes sense. One of them is if you have a long suit, lead your long suit. Make declare rough your long suit. The idea is run declare out of trumps. After all, you've got 4 of them. If declare starts roughing your long suit, your trumps are going to be good. You might even be able to pull declare's trump and get the rest of the cards in your long suit. So that's one thing you could do, is lead a long suit. Say you don't have a long suit. Well, if you're not roughing, then declare's not roughing either. Start leading out your trump. And it's because if you have 4, your partner only has 1 most of the time, right? So lead them out, and then in the second lead, when you play, get in again, you play a trump, you use up 2 of declare's trump for only 1 of yours. That's good defense. Pull out 2 trump of them for 1 trump of yours. Not so you throw away the trick, right? Don't put your king on the table or anything, but
Yeah, right.
play, pull out 2 for 1. Anyway, if you have over 4 trump, don't look to trump with them, because you're making it easy for declare to play the hand. You just made the trumps split when they didn't. And the last one, before we get into some examples here, is breaking a new suit for declare. Like typically, if you don't have a good lead, like you were stuck on your opening lead, you had a choice of a lot of bad leads, and so you picked one, right? You have to do it, you did it. Well, once you help declare out in that one suit and you get in again, don't help declare out in another suit, just stick with what you started with. If you start, and matter of fact, I just got this question from somebody last night, where she asked me, she led the suit that was uncomfortable for her, and then she got in again, and if she would have continued, it would have been a good board. When she broke another suit, the whole hand collapsed, and that's typical. So don't, if you have a good reason, sure, split. Your partner signaled for you to lead something and lead it. But if they didn't, don't help declare out a second time. Help them out just once.
Do you have any input on mud, middle up, down?
I think that's okay when you have 3 small ones, but I think it's more important to do Boston. Like I do mud, like if I have 9, 8, 2, and I mark mud on the contract, I will lead the 8, because now I'm telling you, if I'm leading the 8, I don't have a high card, right? And now when I play the 9, now you'll know I have 3. So that's the advantage of mud. So I use mud middle up down when it helps me, but if I have 9, 3, 2, I ain't playing the 3.
Right.
Because then you're going to think I have an honor. So mud is
Yeah.
useful, but not, not everything fits together great. Okay, we're going to look at some things that EDGAR, the online cheating program, flagged for cheating. And here's west. West is the opening leader against Reno Trouble. And East has never bid, so I won't bother to show you the East hand, because it doesn't matter, they never bid. What are you gonna lead?
In the clubs.
Yeah, queen of clubs, every time. Top of the sequence, 3 in a row. There's nothing to think about. If you don't lead it, if it should work, it won't be good for you. Anyway, the queen of clubs, right, top of the sequence. Again, some people, they just learn 4th best. And a lot of people are leading the 5. It's not that they're cheaters, it's that they didn't know.
Also, they're just getting a little greedy and they're hoping to make that queen jack good. The ace king fall. I've been there, done that.
Yeah, well, don't do it
Greer.
again.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
And
take
we
a
don't
look.
do that.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at another one. I'll show you the north hand this time. And here's the bidding. Yeah. No, what would you open? What would you open that?
One class? Well, wait, what, point range?
Oh, what's the bidding?
No Trump.
Sure, one no
One
Trump.
no Trump.
Almost the
Yeah,
perfect
right.
one no Trump, yeah,
Yeah.
right? And then your opponent passed and south.
I'd know that.
What would you do with south?
No, seven,
Yes.
five.
No, 2 no trumps.
The good player is just gonna pass.
Oh,
Yeah, 0 to
Yeah.
oh, you
7.
mean the south
Right,
end?
yeah.
Yeah, that's 7 points, right?
B, you're not gonna get.
7 points. Your
Right.
partner has between 15 and 17.
Right.
The most you have is 24 points. And you have a flat hand. If you, 2 no Trump is inviting partner to go if they're on the top. If they go, unless it's their birthday, they're going down, right?
Yeah,
So they should pass.
yeah.
But anyway, not everybody does what they're supposed to. What this South did was 2 clubs. It's not a good bid, but it's what they did, right? Like, if we only discuss good bids, there'd really be nothing to talk about here.
No,
So-
you say.
Yeah, they were doing, and it's a bad bid for 2 reasons. One, you should be happy to be playing 1 no, and for 2, you're not roughing anything. You have a flat hand opposite a flat hand. You don't even care if your partner has 4 hearts, right? You're gonna take the same number of tricks and no trump as you are in hearts. And that's not gonna be good. So they should pass, but anyway, they did 2 clubs anyway. It didn't matter because then this next opponent comes in with the 2 spade bid. And now everybody passes, right? And this is the leader, right? What do you need to be led? What do you need to lead, not
North
to
is
be
leading,
led?
north is leading.
Yeah, they're on opening lead against two
Two-spade
spades.
contract.
Mhm.
Seven clubs.
Yeah, no, king of clubs, remember, you're defending against spades, right? If you're defending against no trump, it'd be the seven of clubs, right? But here, all you need is a two-card sequence to lead it. You either lead the king of clubs, you get a check mark next to your name for cheating.
That's cheating if you do the king of clubs?
No, king of clubs is what you
That's
need
a
to
good
do
lead.
Oh, I
for the
see.
program, for the cheating program, not to mark you down.
I see.
And your partner bid clubs, you want to bid a club, right?
No,
I mean,
no,
you
your
wanna
part,
lead
this
clubs?
is
No,
Stamen.
it's just that's
This is
artificial.
Stamen,
Yeah.
Oh, artificial.
Artificial.
Oh,
He doesn't have a club.
right? That's Stamen, right?
oh.
They're looking for artists, right?
So you know they have hearts because the October call
Well,
spades
yeah,
and
you
things
could be
in
pretty
there.
sure they have hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, but in any case, you're not leading the ace of hearts and you're not
Right.
under leading the ace of hearts.
Right. So we keep our partner.
So if you don't, and what they did in this case is they got confused. And I seem to remember somebody leading, saying lead fourth best, and they did, and they got flagged for cheating.
Oh, my goodness.
Excuse me, can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
If you led the king of clubs and it helped, for whatever reason it helped, what would your next lead be?
That's a good question. And my next lead depends on what my partner played. If my partner should signal saying if they like clubs or not. So using standard signals, if my partner played a high card, I would continue. If my partner played a low card, I would switch to another suit.
And which one would you switch to in that case?
Oh, and this one, if,
Since
well,
they did
here,
stay.
I'd have to, I don't see what the dummy looks like, so it's hard, but I can tell you, I wouldn't really want to play away from that,
Yeah.
because that's a tennis, when you have an honor and then a space and then next honor, where you might be able to trap the queen. So I'd have to see what dummy looks like to say what I'd look like. But I definitely wouldn't play club if my partner told me not to, right? Basically, if there wasn't any spade honors on the board, I'm only gonna get one spade anyway, I might just play the queen of spades, right? Let them take their high spade, I'll get my jack.
Oh, you don't have a queen of spades, yes.
Spades?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry, duh.
yeah. So anyway, I'd play the queen, assuming the dummy didn't have any high spades. I'm only gonna get one spade anyway, I'd throw them in there. Go ahead.
So you said don't lead away from a tennis?
Right, unless your partner bid it.
Okay.
If your partner bid it, then you could play them to have a card. But if your partner didn't bid it, it's back to, you want them to lead to you. You want the diamond coming to your king jack. And you're really hoping for is to see that queen come down.
So you lead the king of clubs,
Correct.
and partner, yeah, he's not interested in clubs, right?
Yeah, he should play the
So he played
five.
five, okay.
Right. Of course, the 5 is a very hard card to read, right? Like, is it low or is it high, right?
Not like the 6.
Well, the 6 is, yeah, the 6 is even worse, but the 5 is bad enough. So once they play the 5, like I said, based on, if there weren't any high spades on the board, I'd just play the queen, right? Let them win their ace. Like I wouldn't I wouldn't be anxious to lead anything else. Okay, I'm gonna mark one more hand. And your partner never bid, and you're defending 2 clubs. What are you gonna lead? Yeah, the auction's over, you're defending 2 clubs.
Okay.
King of
What's
clubs.
the contract?
No, these clubs are trump,
Oh,
right?
clubs are trumps.
Yeah,
that's
clubs
right.
are trump.
Ten of spades.
Okay.
So typically, you're hoping to make your king and your queen.
With 10 of spades.
Yeah, basically, what you wouldn't want to do, if you're playing no trump, the queen of diamonds would be correct. But you're playing a suit, so you don't want to lead away from your tennis. So this is, you're not leading from either of those 2 suits. You could pick whichever one of those, neither of them is great, but I would probably lead the 7 of spades. I'd probably want to hold on to that 10.
I will too.
So that'd be my choice, the 7 of spades. Okay, thank you all for coming. I'll see you next month.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Leads, I think, are